So, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to yet another video here on the Freak Flyers YouTube channel. And today, we're going to be doing the skydiving canopies tier list again. No, I'm joking. I'm not going to do it yet. But I am going to do wingsuit tier list. Again, if you don't know what a tier list is, we start from F all the way up to A, and then S being the best tiers. But in this case, this is not to say that D is necessarily worse than C. This is just how the different suits compare against each other. It will be more or less the lowest the suit is on the tier. It will be the less experience you need to fly it. It doesn't necessarily mean the suit is worst. Just means you need a little bit less experience, with some exceptions, and I will mention them. And of course, basically, the more you move up, the more power the suit's going to have, the bigger it's going to be, and of course, the more range it's going to have. So without further ado, let's actually get started right into F tier. And in F tier, I'm going to include basically every simple two-piece tracking suit that you could come up with. In this tier, I have the tracking suit logo from eachother. Their tracking suit currently is the Ultimate 2. It's just finishing its development. And so I didn't have the logo to put it here, although the logo exists and it's on the one that I have, the prototype that I have. But it's an amazing suit. I will be talking about eachother suits a little bit more than other brands, but I will be mentioning the features of each suit so that if you have a brand preference, you can go and use these features as hints to where each suit falls in the category. I would rather do that than do countless lists, and as the suits get updated, I'll do even more lists because it's just not going to be feasible. It's better to teach a man to fish than to give him a fish, so I would rather teach you guys about the features and what to look for in different categories of suits, rather than tell you exactly the names of the suits. But I will mention also the suits equivalent in Squirrel, which is probably the biggest manufacturer in the world of these types of suits. For the tracking suit, the Ultimate 2 is definitely a great option. It will be basically a loose-fitting raincoat / rain pants that pressurize and increase your overall size. They don't really have any specific surface area or any specific wings. They just increase your overall size, and they do pressurize using inlets. The Ultimate 2 has free fly inlets as well, so they have inlets on the back and inlets on the front. It's a great suit. It naturally puts you at a quite steep angle, not too steep, but steeper than the normal suits, where they pressurize a lot in the top and in the bottom, and they make you fly a little flat, and you have to induce that steepness to make the suit fly faster. This suit is a little bit less area in the top and a little bit more area in the bottom, so it pushes your center of gravity up, and it will naturally put you in a steeper position that you don't have to fight to get there. So it will, if you relax and let the suit fly at its own natural angle of attack, it will put you in the correct angle of attack to get the best glides possible. And I've given this suit to a bunch of beginners, and I've tried it myself, and even give it to some really, really good base jumping trackers, and they all agree it's a suit that's really nicely flown when relaxed. Now, if we move up to E tier, we're still in the realm of tracking suits, but now they are one-piece tracking suits, and they actually have ribs, they pressurize, and they fly almost like a wingsuit, and they have like actual surface area, but you're not attached. Your limbs are still free to move. This is what still makes it a tracking suit. We're talking about the Wahoo 2. It's a one-piece tracking suit, and many other brands make one-piece tracking suits, such as Squirrel makes the Sausage. These are suits that will give you more surface area, and you will start to behave a little bit, in terms of performance, they will be closer to a wingsuit. They definitely are completely different and fly very different, but in terms of the performance you can get, they start to be a little bit more similar to a wingsuit. But you still have the benefits of a tracking suit, which is you can run with it, you can move your arms freely, and all of that stuff. It's very useful for the exit, for the landing, and of course after opening if you're fixing malfunctions. These suits will require a little bit more experience to fly. I wouldn't necessarily recommend you start on a one-piece tracking suit. Definitely wouldn't recommend you start on a one-piece tracking suit if you're just base jumping, if you're not taking it to the sky, which is a mistake already. They are going to give you great numbers, but in my opinion, a wingsuit is slightly easier to fly than a tracking suit if you have no experience whatsoever before. Like if you're picking up a suit, you've never touched anything else, I would say a wingsuit is slightly easier to fly, especially if you have a wingsuit course. Of course, if you're just given a wingsuit and thrown off a plane, they're going to be both hard to fly. But usually you can get a tracking suit and just stick it to a drop zone, and people are not really going to pay too much attention unless someone notices it's a pretty aggressive one-piece tracking suit. but it's still a tracking suit. And you're like, oh, it's a tracking suit. Okay, you can take it. You don't need any skydives. Whereas in a beginner wingsuit, you do need a first jump course. You're taught a lot of the ways to solve malfunctions and how to get out of complicated situations, which you are not when you are given a tracking suit, unless you do a course, of course. Now, these tend not to free fly because they are more towards performance while maintaining comfort and ease of flight. But there's some versions that do free fly. I don't remember exactly which one I free flown from Squirrel. I think it was the Sausage, and I free flown with it, and I had some fun. The one from eachother, the Wahoo 2, does not free fly. I mean, it does free fly if you're like me, but it will depressurize while you're transitioning because it doesn't have air inlets on the back. They're still great suits, and I still love them. And I have mine, and I enjoy mine that eachother has provided. But I would always prefer either going with a wingsuit or going with a two-piece tracking suit. The one-piece isn't really for me. Now, there's people that have really honed their skills on tracking suits and one-piece tracking suits specifically and wanted something that was a little bit more. They want to really take the tracking suit to the limit. And they have what is between E and D tier, the hybrid suits. They are one-piece suits, yes, but they start already to get you connected to some of the wings, so the legs aren't so freely, so they don't move so freely, and the arms have some limitation of movement, but it's still not a full-blown wingsuit where you have fabric from the arms to the legs and from leg to leg. You still have a lot more freedom of movement than you do on a wingsuit, but it's a lot more surface area. And these are for experienced trackers. They aren't necessarily something you should work up to in a rush, which a lot of base jumpers do. This is something that you're maybe already even wingsuit jumping from mountains, and you wanna have a tracking suit that just have a little bit more. You wanna really push the tracking suit to its limits, and you wanna use the most powerful tracking suits around. I would recommend this tier between the E and the D. The Alpha A from eachother is one example, and the EMT DOS is another example from Squirrel. The mutation is also, more of a hybrid suit rather than a one piece, but still falls in the category of the one pieces because it's got a lot more freedom of movement than the EMT DOS and than the Alpha A have. So let's now actually move on to real things, wingsuits. Real wingsuits, not tracking suits. Now, before we actually start on the wingsuits, it's good that I mention some, meaning of some words so that I can just say them and you guys know what they mean. So when I speak about surface area, I mean when a suit has more surface area, means it's got more fabric that's actually inflating and creating a wing shape under your arms and under your legs. Leading edge, of course, is the front of the suit. Arm sweep angle is how high or how low your arms are, basically the angle that your arms make on your shoulders. Of course, the steeper the arm sweep angle is, the more fabric you're going to have down low, meaning the center of gravity is going to be moved up, and the suit's naturally going to fly steeper and faster as well, because having a steeper arm sweep angle is going to give you a lower aspect ratio. This will mean that the suit will be thinner than it is taller, whereas a flatter arm sweep angle will give you a little bit more surface area, yes, provided that the suit is designed to have the maximum amount of surface area. It's going to make for a more easy to fly suit. It's going to make more easy to exit suit. It's going to give you more flexibility and range of motion in your arms. Also, it will create a suit with slower stall speeds and overall better and easier performance when flown at a slower speed and lower pressurization of the suit. When I speak about inlets, obviously means where the air is fed into the suit. And of course, top skin, bottom skin, and ribs are the same as on a canopy, and leading edge as well. Leading edge will be your arms, so you don't have any inlets on the leading edge like you have on a skydiving canopy. So on D tier, we have two types of suits, even though I only have one logo, the Piranha logo in here. The Piranha is a beginner suit, and a student versus a beginner suit are two different things, because some federations have rules when it comes to how a beginner wingsuit for a student, should be designed. So suits for students with no jumps at all on a wingsuit, so for your first wingsuit for flight course, will have small wingspan, small surface area overall. So basically surface area that on the arms connect to your wrists and don't connect lower than your hips. And on the legs, the leg wings, don't go past your ankles. Now, If we talk about a beginner suit and not a complete student suit, you're going to have the wings attached a little bit lower. It's just going to give you that little bit of extra surface area so that you can use the suit for longer, meaning you're going to be able to fly with maybe an intermediate suit if they go on the back. Even if they go on belly, they can keep up with you, but they will have to actively fly to keep up with you. But if they're on the back, you can easily keep up with them and do a formation where you have one old organizer on the back and you guys and everybody else was on a beginner suit. The difference will also be that a student suit will have cutaways because it's mandatory in most places, whereas a beginner suit will sometimes have cutaways, but sometimes will not. The inlets are also not very complex. They're usually two-dimensional. If it's an older suit that's even smaller, even lower surface area, it will have just net on the intakes. And sometimes they're not even monodirectional. But the newer suits have just a very simple inlet with a rigid part that basically creates a U shape, and the air gets fed through that, and it does have a valve. So it's a one-way monodirectional valve to inflate the suit and keep it inflated. Now, moving on to C tier, we have our intermediate suits. These are the ones that people will stay the longest in before they get to their actually like full-blown advanced suits. So a lot of people get these suits, and if they do get to the point where they're professional wingsuit flyers and they're doing courses, they'll still keep these suits because they're very versatile and they're the best to fly all around. Eachother makes the Barracuda 4. Currently, it's an amazing suit. It's not overwhelming at all, and it can be flown with bigger suits, and it can also be flown with smaller suits. It's possible to do XRW with the Barracuda, but it's not going to be comfortable on the back. On the belly, it's going to be you're flying at relatively, you got to give it power, basically. But you can keep up no problem. I've flown with the ATC, which is Eachother's version of an intermediate suit. I've flown XRW with the ATC. On the belly, you're flying comfortable, but you do need to give it power. On the back, you really need to, basically fly as much as you can to keep up because it's limited surface area. But you do have wings where you need to have. You have the wings pressurizing where you need to have. They will be attaching to more or less your lower leg. And most of them actually go up to your ankle. And the leg wings also are flat with your ankle. So they don't extend past your legs, but they are flat with the ground when you stand up, meaning that you have as much non-extended surface area as you can. This will characterize an intermediate suit. From C tier up, we're going to start having also, alongside the surface area that I just mentioned, actual robust 3D shaped air inlets, because the direction of the air is starting to be not from below, but actually from the leading edge. So parallel basically with the suit, with the suit's flight. It's not going to be perfectly parallel, especially if you're flying in the sky where the formations are a little bit, lazily flying. But if you're giving it power, especially in the base environment, the airflow is going to be pretty parallel to the shape of the suit. So it's natural that we want to have these inlets 3D shaped. On the intermediate suits, more in the beginner category, more in the lower experience of that you can have is an acrobatic suit. So right in between a beginner suit and an intermediate, you have the acrobatic category. Now, why is it in between and why is it not one or the other? Well, it's less surface area than an intermediate suit, but it's more surface area and a little bit harder to control than a beginner suit. It will, at about 50 jumps, you'll be ready for an acrobatic suit, whereas you'll need like 70 something, like right in between 50 and 100 to fly an intermediate suit. This is all, of course, considering you've already done every other requisite and you've flown those 75 jumps or 50 jumps on a student suit. Now, the Squirrel makes the low key, which is the acrobatic suit that they have. And the curious thing about these acrobatic suits is some of them, they don't really connect to the bottom of your leg, to your feet. I mean, they sometimes go just up to the knee or just below the knee. And they don't have a lot of surface area that's extended to the extremities. So all of their surface area is concentrated in the middle. This is so that it makes for a more agile suit that rolls better and gives you freedom of movement and with your arms to do grips and docks and whatnot. This is something that you will not find on the ATC or on the Barracuda 4 because you have the little extenders because you want it to fly as much as like a wingsuit as possible to prepare you for the future suits, whereas the acrobatic suits, they are supposed to simulate a powered up version of you flying your body. this is kind of what I feel. It puts you, the center of gravity is quite up north on the acrobatic suits. This is great because it naturally puts the suit at a steep angle, which is what we want for acrobatic flight, because that way the suit is going to be flying at a good speed. The glide isn't that important because we're not looking for performance on these suits. And you're going to be able to roll much better. It's always better to roll when you're steep because you're going to have that power and that air speed to keep the suit pressurized and creating lift during the transitions and past the transition. So you're not sinking and messing up your tight acrobatic flight. These intermediate suit, like the Barracuda 4, will have similar surface area, but it will be more spread out. It will give you more range because you'll be able to fly the suit slower without it starting to stall. But you'll also be able to speed up the suit, especially if you know what you're doing. You'll be able to control this suit at very high speeds. Again, because it's not that much surface area, and because you have the small arm wing extensions to play with, you can really finically control the suit, like with a lot of precision. If you're doing formations, that will be very useful. And if you're flying with a student and you're trying to make video of them, and you need to be ready to move away from them at any moment if they decide to do something crazy, you also have that type of power right on your fingertips with the intermediate suits. Now, let's move on to the fun categories. Starting with B, which is going to be your first introduction to an advanced suit. In terms of the inlets for the B tier suits, they're going to be similar to the C tier inlets. The shape of the suit, however, will have extensions, and you're going to have significant extensions in your hands, like this little sticks that you hold on to, and you're going to have a skirt going past your legs, basically extending the suit bigger than your body size. This is also going to give it a lower aspect ratio. And because there's extensions on your legs and below your arms, but there's no extensions on the top of your body, you're going to have the suit center of gravity moved even more up north, giving you a naturally steeper angle that is going to give you exactly the type of glide ratio the suit's looking for, because that steep angle is going to put you at faster speeds. The faster speeds are going to generate more lift, and you're going to be able to have a better glide ratio. This is what the suits are designed for, and this is how they should be flown. Hence why they are more experienced. It's not just more surface area, it's because it's going to put you in a more aggressive position, give you more speed, generate more lift. All of your inputs are going to be much more sensitive. This is a characteristic that you'll find on all the suits that I'm going to mention from now on. They're all going to have little sticky things that you hold on to and extensions that go past your hands. Quite a substantial amount. Of course, the more you go up the tier list, the more that extension amount will be. And also on the legs, like I just mentioned. Now, in this category, you'll find the old, outdated Barracuda Power Plus, but I had to include it because it's the suit that I have the most jumps on, and I really like it, and I've done some fun stuff with it. And it's a very powerful suit, and it's starting to, go out of date because it's no longer the modern motor chamber design. It doesn't have the modern features that all these other suits do include, that I've been mentioning previously, at least most of them. And if they don't include, they're being updated to include. And the Barracuda Power Plus is no exception. It's a advanced suit. It will require 100 and almost 200 wingsuit jumps for you to be able to jump it. I would recommend 200 jumps to jump this type of suit. And the same goes for the Freak, regardless of what number, but the most modern, I think, is the Freak 5. It will also be a suit that will require you about 200 jumps to start jumping. They are very agile acrobatic suits, but they have the surface area to require you to have a lot of experience to jump it, wingsuit experience that is. And it's also important to have skydiving experience because it's not just about the wingsuit flight, it's also about you managing a malfunction. If you have a malfunction, you're going to have a lot more fabric to deal with. So it's important to recognize your own experience, not only in wingsuit flying, but also in skydiving, and especially in base jumping. If you're base jumping these suits, it's important to recognize your own experience and to take things slow and make a correct progression, because you're not going to have fun if you're wrestling with a suit, because it's a straight jacket. And if you're not experienced, it will be a straight jacket and not an extension of your body. And it should be an extension of your body rather than you fighting to fly the suit. Now, eachother has a kind of an updated version of the Barracuda Power Plus, which is the Mako. The Mako is similar surface area. Definitely there's some changes to the arm sweep angle and as a consequence to the aspect ratio of the suit. And it definitely flies different. I've flown both. But I would say the Mako outperforms the Barracuda. It's no question at all on that. But the Barracuda still has its place, at least in my heart, because I've had a lot of good times with it. The Mako is just better, and that's why I put the Mako right between B and A, because it's just above the B tier of the Barracuda for the advanced suit. It is monochamber, the Mako, and it is a suit that has good low speed flight characteristics, and I noticed this doing XRW especially, and it's very nice that when you're flying slow and you're doing a transition, the suit keeps its shape really well. So you're not transitioning into the unknown. You're always expecting the suit to behave like it will, because you feel the suit in the shape that you need it to be, even during a transition. This is something that gave me a lot of confidence doing some XRW with Kurt Bartholomew, and he was using the Mutant. So when he's using the Mutant, he's really at a flat glide, and I was able to really push that suit to a flat glide. Then Kurt increased his body surface area by kind of leaning forwards on the suit and standing up on the suit. The suit, on the harness. Sorry, the Mutant was still flying pretty flat and slow at the same time, because Kurt was completely open, and the Mako handled it really well, even being a suit with a slightly lower surface area than I would like for that specific type of jump. But I knew I was going to carve with Kurt, so I didn't really pay too much attention to how it flew, but it flew slow pretty impressively, especially compared to the Barracuda. I would attribute that to its overall design and to the monochamber as well. Definitely you can feel that it helped a little bit. Now, let's move on to A tier. Now, this A tier of suits, it's still considered like advanced by most people, but they are so much more surface area that I do believe they should have their own tier. And in the A tier, I would put the RS Glide from eachother. You can definitely tell it's a suit designed to fly for as long as possible in terms of time. It's going to have nice starts. The starts are hopefully going to be as short as possible because of the arm sweep angle. But it's a lot of volume of suit to inflate, so it is going to take a little bit extra to inflate, just because you have so much fabric for the air to rush into. But Squirrel actually has this divided into two parts. They have the Aura, which is similar. It should be an A tier, similar to the RX Glide. And then in B tier, I would put the Corvid, because it's basically a mini Aura. It is going to have better slow flight characteristics when you're really taking it to the extreme slow. And of course, because of that, it's also going to have better starts and shorter starts. It's less volume of suit. It's more comfortable to fly. And you're in it. You can basically rock anything. You can take on anything in terms of the base environment. And that's why it's on B tier, because it's going to give you the comfort. It's going to give you the confidence. But it's not going to give you the performance that an A tier suit would. And an A tier suit, that's the RS Glide and the Aura. Those will require you to really commit to the type of flying that you're doing, even though they are comfortable and they are relatively easy to fly if you have the experience and if you have the time inside of the suit to fly these specific types of suits. If you're conquering new lines and you want something that is predictable and has a lot of range and will be able to pull you out of an aggressive dive into a super crazy flare, if you do need, it will have that power, and the power is there for you to use. And that's the RS Glide and the Aura. Those are the ideal suits for base jumping, no questions asked. If you're not looking for numbers, if you're just looking to have fun, the Corvid will be fun and comfort. The Aura will be fun and performance as well, perfect for base jumping. The RS Glide will be in the same category as the Aura. Now, moving up to S tier, these will be your competition suits. They are designed to have the most speed possible, create the best glide ratio, the best horizontal speeds, and the best distances traveled. And these suits will also be used in competition. In competition, we have from Squirrel C-Race CR+, and of course a version that's a little bit more suited towards base, which is a C-Base. All of these suits have different uses. Of course, the C-Race and the CR+ have their differences because there's different disciplines in wingsuit competitions in the skydiving environment. You have time, you have speed, and you have distance, and one will be each of the two suits will be chosen by their pilots with regards to what discipline they're practicing. And the C-Base, of course, as the name implies, will be more catered towards base jumpers that are looking to, you're looking for performance in the base environment. You've got the Aura, and you've got a Corvid, or maybe you've got an Aura, and you know what you use it for, and you get a C-Base when you want to start, using some of the performance that you can, and milking out every last drop of performance that you can from your lines. Also, some terrain can be conquered more easily with a C-base when compared to an Aura, but again, this is like really not, still I'm not comfortable with speaking about this. I need some more information, but the types of glides that you can take out of a C-base, because of its surface area and its natural speed, will be pretty good. It can generate a lot of lift due to the speeds that it can generate. It's all a consequence. If you got more speed, there's more air flowing through the shape of the wingsuit, there's more lift that's going to be created. Eachother makes the RS base, which is a suit that, although it has base on the name, it will still perform really well in the sky. It's just a little bit more towards the base environment. It's going to be similar to the RS Glide in the sense that it was designed for the base environment to perform, but the RS Glide, of course, it's going to be for one thing that we just spoke about, whereas the RS base is going to have more speed. More speed means it's going to be a more demanding suit to control. It's got more speed because of the center of gravity, putting you in a naturally more aggressive angle of attack, and the arm sweep angle is also more aggressive, as you can see on the pictures of the suit. So it is a suit that's going to be more demanding on the exits. It is a suit that's going to lock you in place a lot more, and it's going to have more speed, meaning more pressure. More pressure means you're going to have limited range of motion in flight. So if you are afraid that you might not find a handle, something like that, maybe this suit is not really for you, because these are suits that you have to have your openings dialed, you have to have your flight technique dialed to take from the mountains and even from the sky, because they can punish you if you lose control. Now, there's crazy people in the world. I'm one of those crazy people that like to take suits free flying, regardless of what they are. And so the types of athletes that work for these companies, that they are given the freestyle suits, and then they're also given the performance suits to try out, we all have the same answer to the company. We say, why don't you take the competition suit and just put some back inlets in it and call it a free fly suit and send it to me and I'll fucking free fly it. Well, this is what we always say, and this is exactly what the companies do. I've been asking Eachother for a performance suit with free fly back inlets for a few years now, and they had been designing the Manta, and now the Manta is out, and they have sent me one, and you can tell by the shape, by the surface area, by the aspect ratio, arm sweep angle, all of those things, you can tell it's definitely a fast suit. It's not a race suit, but it is a race suit. It is a very fast suit. It's got a lot of range. I've flown it slow, and it definitely can fly slow. It just feels like a task to fly it slow, because you're transitioning. It feels like you're muscling a whole bunch of air volume that you shouldn't when you're slow. Now, when you speed it up, you're going to have airflow through that shape. The suit's going to start behaving like it should, and it's absolutely awesome. The first time I flared it, I was actually surprised, because I hadn't jumped with a racing suit since 2021, and I was surprised after 3 years just doing a flare for the opening, like I've been doing with my Baragu, the Power Plus, and then when it was time to start going up, it actually went up. And I don't like to physically go up on the openings, but this time I kind of abused myself a little bit there. I was like, okay, let's just do it. As soon as I transitioned the power, I could feel the power. This suit has a lot of potential, and I can't wait to see what I can do with it. Hopefully some caravan 2 ways, that would be pretty cool. But yeah, when you have a competition suit and you have the area, you have the arm sweep angle, you have the speed, you add the freestyle wing inlets, you've got a S-tier suit right alongside the other S-tier suits. So this has been it for today, guys. Again, I'm sorry if I only mentioned a lot of intro there and some scroll stuff. I'm sorry, I can't go looking at every company. I would rather teach you guys what to look for in a suit, and then you guys can take your own conclusions going from them there. This has been it for today, guys. Let me know if you have any questions or complimentary information. You can always add them in the comment section down below. And as always, I will see you guys next time.